From the days when stars guided sailors to the era of sand-filled hourglasses and shouting depths with sticks, navigation at sea was once a brutal guessing game. These weren't just tools, they were lifelines. Join us as we uncover 20 boat navigation tools once necessary, now completely obsolete, and the bizarre stories they left behind. 20. Signal flags and semaphore. They communicated across oceans without saying a single word, but one wrong flag in a storm could mean war or disaster. Before radios or Morse code, sailors used colorful flags to send messages across vast distances. Each flag stood for a letter, signal, or command, and with just a few raised cloths, entire sentences were exchanged. Semaphore added motion, using handheld flags in specific arm positions to convey messages like a visual Morse code. But in storms or fog, these methods failed. Lives were lost to misread signals. As radios emerged, signal flags faded into tradition. Still flown today, but more for ceremony than survival. Their urgency? Long gone. 19. Landby. Large automatic navigation buoy. It looked like a floating fortress, but its purpose was far more delicate, to replace an entire ship with just a buoy. The Landby was designed to take over from aging light ships, guiding vessels through harsh coastal waters. Towering and mechanical, it flashed beacons and sent signals without a single crew member aboard. But reality hit hard. Waves damaged them, corrosion set in, and maintenance was a nightmare. Servicing often required a full vessel. By the late 20th century, most Landbys were quietly retired in favor of smaller buoys and GPS. Ambitious in concept, they simply weren't ready for the chaos of the sea. 18. Sun compass. No magnets, no electronics, just sunlight and shadows guiding ships through frozen oceans and war zones. The sun compass was a clever tool used during polar expeditions and military missions, especially when magnetic compasses failed due to interference. By tracking the sun's position against a fixed dial, it helped navigators find true north, even in remote icy regions. However, one flaw made it risky. No sun meant no direction. In cloudy conditions or whiteouts, expeditions were forced to stop completely. Though now obsolete, its design still fascinates explorers, and modern versions are sometimes 3D printed as emergency tools for extreme environments. 17. Manual compass. One of the oldest tools in the sailor's kit, and one of the most dangerous when it got things wrong. The manual magnetic compass revolutionized navigation, but it had serious flaws. Magnetic interference from iron hulls, electronics, or even solar storms could throw off readings by several degrees. During World War II, these errors led entire fleets off course. Captains used wooden mounts and correction magnets, but reliability was never guaranteed. Eventually, gyro compasses and digital systems replaced it. Still, every ship carries one today, because if all systems fail, that simple needle could still point the way home. 16. Paper nautical charts. Huge, fragile, and painfully slow to update, these charts were the original GPS, without any G, P, or S. For centuries, paper nautical charts were the backbone of marine navigation. They showed coastlines, depths, and hazards, but every correction had to be drawn by hand. One missed update could be deadly. In 2005, a yacht grounded on an unmarked reef due to an outdated chart. Today, GPS and ECDIS offer real-time updates. But most ships still carry paper charts as backups, and many mariners still value plotting a course the old-fashioned way. 15. Dead reckoning tracers. Guess your position using speed, heading, and time, then hope you aren't 30 miles off. Dead reckoning was once the backbone of marine navigation. Sailors estimated their position based on where they started, how fast they were going, and in what direction. But ocean currents, winds, and small timing errors could throw everything off. Navigators used tracers and dividers to sketch out their path on charts, adjusting along the way. Though far from perfect, it guided countless voyages and even wartime missions, long before radar and satellites took over. 14. Deca Navigator System. It helped win wars, map continents, and guide oil tankers, but today, most people have never heard of it. The Deca Navigator system, created in the 1940s, used low-frequency radio signals from land towers to determine a ship's position. It was vital during World War II and later expanded across Europe, Asia, and Africa. Ships read overlapping signals on cathode ray screens to plot their course. But its accuracy dropped outside coverage zones, and high maintenance costs made it unsustainable. By the 1990s, GPS replaced it. By 2000, Deca vanished, leaving behind silent towers and forgotten innovation. 13. LORAN, long-range navigation. Before GPS ruled the oceans, LORAN was the go-to electronic navigation system. Introduced in World War II and refined during the Cold War, it used synchronized radio pulses from land-based towers to calculate a vessel's position. It was accurate, reliable, and less vulnerable to jamming, making it ideal for both civilian and military use. But as GPS became more precise and globally accessible, LORAN was gradually phased out. By 2010, the US officially shut down its network, ending an era of radio-based navigation. 12. Wire drag surveying. Two boats, one steel cable, and the only way to find underwater hazards was to crash into them first. Wire drag surveying was a crucial but dangerous method used in the early 1900s to map shallow waters. Two vessels dragged a steel wire between them, and when it hit an obstacle, the wire rose, marking hidden dangers like wrecks or reefs. It was a slow, high-risk process, but it helped chart major harbors and coastlines. Though eventually replaced by sonar, this hands-on method laid the foundation for modern underwater mapping and maritime safety. 11. Sounding pole. No beeps, no screens, just a long wooden pole and a sailor yelling out numbers over crashing waves. Before sonar or lead lines, the sounding pole was the simplest way to measure depth in shallow waters. Sailors dropped it from the bow until it hit bottom, then shouted the reading. It was quick, effective, and widely used by indigenous mariners and European sailors alike. Even today, some traditional boaters still rely on it. In certain cultures, these poles are marked with unique symbols, a navigational language passed down through generations. 10. Polaris. It looked like a compass, but it didn't point north, and yet it guided fleets through war zones and narrow straits. The Polaris was a navigation tool used to measure relative bearings. Mounted on a ship's deck with sighting vanes and degree markings, it let sailors align with distant objects, like a lighthouse or another vessel, and determine its angle from the ship's heading. Unlike a magnetic compass, it wasn't affected by interference, making it essential for warships built with heavy steel. It was especially helpful for coordinating fleet maneuvers and silent operations at night. Though radar and digital systems replaced it, many navies still carry one, just in case. 9. Station pointer. One tool, three angles, infinite possibilities. This device let mariners pinpoint their location without GPS, radio, or even sunlight. The station pointer was built for triangulation. Navigators would take bearings from three visible landmarks like a steeple, lighthouse, and hilltop, then align those angles on a nautical chart using the pointer's adjustable arms. Where the lines crossed? That was their exact position. In clear weather, it rivaled early GPS for accuracy. But it had limits. Fog, darkness, or a shaky hand could throw everything off. Despite being phased out by radar and digital plotting, old-school sailors still swear by it. For touching real-world precision, no screen can match. 8. Parallel rules. Two rulers hinged together and in the hands of a skilled navigator. They could chart a course across oceans or into disaster. Parallel rules were used to transfer compass bearings onto nautical charts. Aligned with the compass rose and carefully stepped across the map, they helped sailors draw accurate headings. But precision was everything. One small slip could lead to massive navigational errors. For centuries, mastering these tools was essential for safe passage. Though now replaced by digital plotting systems, many mariners still carry them, because at sea, even old tools can be lifesavers. 7. Octant. Before GPS, before sextants, even before modern nations, sailors used this clunky mirrored device to find their way across vast oceans. The Octant, invented in the early 1700s, allowed navigators to measure the angle between celestial bodies in the horizon to determine latitude. Though its arc measured only 45 degrees, a clever mirror system let it calculate angles up to 90 degrees. It was revolutionary, more accurate and user-friendly than any tool before it. With it, captains could cross the Atlantic using only sunlight, starlight, and calculation. It paved the way for global exploration, until the sextant arrived and quietly replaced it by the mid-1800s. 6. Backstaff. It lets sailors measure the sun's height without ever looking at it, a tool of shadows, angles, and survival on the open sea. The backstaff, invented in the 17th century, allowed navigators to calculate latitude by measuring the sun's altitude with their backs turned to it. Using shadows on a calibrated arc, it protected sailors' eyes and replaced the risky cross-staff. Though it worked best in clear weather, it guided countless voyages. Eventually replaced by the octant and sextant, its clever eye-saving design still echoes in the tools that followed. 5. Lead line. A rope, a chunk of lead, and a smear of tallow fat. This tool didn't just measure depth, it tasted the seafloor. The lead line was a simple yet brilliant innovation. Sailors dropped a weighted rope marked at intervals to measure depth. The lead's base, coated in sticky tallow, picked up samples of the seafloor, mud, sand, shell, or gravel, revealing where it was safe to anchor. It was essential for navigation before sonar existed. Even today, some sailors still carry one as a reliable, no-power backup in unfamiliar or shallow waters. 4. Chip log. Speed wasn't measured in miles, it was measured in knots tied to a rope, tossed into the sea behind a moving ship. The chip log used a wooden board and a knotted rope to measure a vessel's speed. As the board trailed behind, sailors flipped a sandglass and counted how many knots passed through their hands. That's where the term nautical knots comes from. 1 knot equaled 1 nautical mile per hour. But it wasn't foolproof. Tangles, mistimed flips, or drifting chips meant errors. Still, this fragile system helped navigate the world's oceans for centuries and was critical to early sea travel. 3. Marine sandglass. Time was life at sea, and when clocks didn't work on rough waters, sailors relied on falling sand to survive. The marine sandglass was sturdier than a household hourglass, designed to measure short, critical intervals like 30 seconds or 1 minute. It was essential for timing speed measurements with chip logs, coordinating watches, and even firing cannons in naval battles. Miss the flip by a few seconds, and your navigation could drip miles off course. Sailors also used sandglasses for everything from cooking to shift changes. Though replaced by marine chronometers, these tiny glass timers once ruled the rhythm of every voyage across the sea. 2. Mariner's Astrolob. Before satellites and GPS, sailors read the stars with bronze wheels, risking their lives on angles carved into metal. The Mariner's Astrolabe, dating back to the 15th century, was a brass or bronze ring with a rotating arm called an alidade. Sailors used it to measure the altitude of the sun or stars, helping them to determine latitude during long ocean voyages. Portuguese explorers and Columbus relied on it to map coastlines and across the Atlantic. But using it was tough, especially on rocking decks in harsh weather. Though later replaced by more refined tools, the Astrolabe was the foundation of global exploration and early celestial navigation. 1. Sextant. It didn't need batteries, satellites, or screens, just the sun, the sea, and a steady hand. This was navigation's holy grail. The sextant, developed in the 1700s, became the gold standard for celestial navigation. By measuring angles between celestial bodies and the horizon, sailors could determine their latitude, and with a chronometer, their longitude too. It required precision, timing, and calculation. Even today, some naval forces still carry sextants as a backup, proving that when all else fails, timeless tools still have a place at sea. These tools may be gone, but the stories they carry still steer the legacy of the seas. If you found even one of them fascinating, hit that like button, subscribe for more forgotten tech and maritime mysteries, and drop a comment. because your curiosity keeps this voyage alive. See you in the next deep dive.